Welcome back, everyone, to WTF Walk the Floors, all things hospitality training. I am Michele Kline with Kline Hospitality, and I'm here with Stephanie Ledger, the stellar Chief Excellence Officer from First Rate Hospitality. And we have a special guest in the house today. Stephanie, why don't you introduce?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, Michele. Greetings from New England. So summertime is upon us, and I'm so excited to introduce Rich Curran, who is the CEO of Expo Convention Contractors. And as we talked about, it's summertime, it's convention time. So thank you so much, Rich, for joining us on the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. Definitely appreciate you asking me to be on.
Oh, absolutely. So let's get in right to your background of your career, to introducing to our listeners and viewers about what you do in the convention space.
Sure. Yeah, we're definitely a behind the scenes type of business. You won't really see billboards advertised type of a company that we are. The show organizers are the clients, and they'll book the venues in the space, and then they rely on a contractor like us to go in, and we do all the logistics. We lay out the floor, we bring in all the equipment, we bring in all the vendors' equipment, we assist with load in, load out, we assist with building. We actually do all the branding at venues as well. We build up structures, do the graphic wrapping, basically soup to nuts for getting an event in and out of a building is where our place in this industry is. And Expo has been around since 1995. And prior to that, I'm actually a second generation. My father has been doing this his whole life. He had worked for a few different companies throughout the years. And in 95, he had the opportunity to open Expo. So he's since retired and, passed the torch. And for the past few years, I've been running the company here. So.
I love that. I love the fact that it's a family-owned company. And secondly, that he did pass the torch and now you're able to take the lead and apply everything you learned from him and then some. And how cool is it to touch base on topics like this where people show up at the convention space and it's like the magic has already happened, right? But who is the one that is holding that wand behind the scenes? And a lot of the times, Rich, I'm sure you feel this, we don't recognize those people enough. Right?
Definitely. And it's interesting because you say that because like my whole career, I've been explaining what we do because most everybody that attends a boat show or an auto show or any type, even B2B conventions, they just kind of assume that the venue does that. They assume that it's, the association that they're part of hires the building and they show up and all this stuff is done. So there's lots of work that goes into it, pre, during, post. And definitely, we're like I said, we're really behind the scenes, us and other contractors like me. So it's nice to actually talk about and try to educate people on the process by teaching them about what the contractors do.
Absolutely. And I think also too, with that pre-planning is sure you have clients that are like, we want a giant boat and then around it we want something built up to make it look like it's a wave, or we want to making sure now that we're taking over 2 spaces. But then also too, it's great of them having these big ideas, but then there's the logistics side on the association or the people that are putting it on, then also to where the location is, and then the timeliness of how many days do you have to being able to do the build up for in preparation for the convention,
especially the wave.
Yeah.
If you need someone with crazy ideas, you call Miss Ledger here.
Yeah, and what we do is that's kind of like the part of our job is that we're making the dream meet the reality, and where we have a team that's assigned to every event. We have people that are in production. We have the salesperson. We have designers, all that are dedicated to an event to actually go through that process and really bring to life what their vision is and their dream, but also with the right amount of logistics and putting the reality to it. So and then also experience with your team that has experience working at these venues, being able to give the costs involved, because sometimes logistics could cost more than what the actual items are themselves. So the experience definitely pays off when you're trying to make something like that come to life.
For sure. Rich, do you guys operate in a specific region, or do you have connections across the country and then you're able to lead those logistical strategies from your office? How does this work?
So we actually operate nationwide. We have our headquarters is in Miami. We also have a branch in Los Angeles, and then we also have an office in Medellin, Colombia, because we work in Latin America and the Caribbean as well. So
Very cool.
So depending upon the scope of work, we will either directly, run the equipment with trailers to the location. But also a big part of our success is partnering with other people that are vendors, suppliers like us who, for me to send a tractor trailer full of, tables versus sourcing it from somebody local, we know that besides just the simple, cost of the transportation, there's no reason to put more trucks on the road anyway, and we have great partnerships across the nation in all different parts that we can rely on people to help us supply shows.
Super.
Yes. And where are you seeing for this summer? Where are most of your clients having their shows?
Well, South Florida is always booming. There's, since we've been like the earliest states to reopen post pandemic, and it's like been pedal to the metal ever since. And also, people don't want to leave and go back to their other states, so we're busy like end to end. In reality, this is the busiest that we've ever been in the history of the company right now this year, and next year it actually looks busier. So
Congratulations. That's great. It's great to hear that it's all coming back.
Definitely. Yes. And out in California, because it took much longer to open up, but now we look at that and like right now we have a giant event going on, RuPaul's Drag Con, which is a fun event. We have a few events following it right back to back, and then in different venues. So California is definitely kicking into high gear now throughout the rest of the year. And again, all throughout the United States, we have events in Denver, we have events in Louisville. We're working all over, and it's like have business, we'll travel.
Rich, what do you see as how do you look at engaging or keeping those contractors or those team members that are doing this, that is in and out, and no one really gets to see what they're putting into it? How do you keep them engaged and interested and motivated beyond the paycheck?
So that's an interesting question, because you find out real fast if somebody is a good fit for this industry, whether it be on the contractor side or the party planning, wedding planning. I think you find out really fast if somebody has the thrill of putting an event on, developing it, and executing it, and that's their satisfaction, versus the person that wants to be in the front with the because it's not about the planner, it's about the bride. It's not about the planner, it's about the party that raised the money for the event. So people find out real fast if this is for them or not. And I think that when you really take stock in building something, executing it, and having it go off and have your clients shine, that's where I think that people take the most stock in, like the people that are last in this industry. So I guess filtering out the right talent sooner than later, that kind of happens on its own. The ones that have been around a long time, just making sure that they have they have the career path that they want, giving them the opportunity for growth and giving them the opportunity to do more to their potential is just making sure you're staying tuned with their career path.
That's great. I love that.
And then how about for even experience or education? Is there engineering that's involved, or what do you look for team members that may be interested in going on to the convention build?
Well, yeah, we are many parts to get it done. There's all different aspects of it. So like right now, I mean, not to put it out there as a posting, but yes, we have many job positions open. We are looking for, so our exhibitor services, starting on that side. So our exhibitor services department is where all of our data and all of our information for all the orders is the culmination, the order processing, but also that's where we get most of our information. So it's a crucial that you have the data entry, but also focus, and also you have to be able to communicate with customers. It is a customer facing position, but also very detailed. So certain skill set for that. We also have openings for, I think, 3 design positions right now. So we are always looking for talented designers, but you have a different types of talent within that. We don't need industrial engineers because we typically work with the same type of systems to build our structures out. But we can teach a designer who's into 3D design to build like the booths and the structures and laying in the graphics and things. And then you have people that are just graphic designers, which are we actually have a graphic production department because we print graphics as well. So different skill sets, fall into different ones. So we're looking for the right fit for the right position. So it overall, our biggest thing is we want to make sure that they're going to fit the culture. Being a family-owned business, we have people here who have been here a long time. They love the company. And when you have that culture, you really need to make sure that you have people that are the right fit. Because if you put somebody that disrupts that culture, you're doing a disservice to the people that have been with you the longest.
Rich, you and me, best buddies forever. You speak my language. I love this. And I think it's so important that we allow other people within our industry to hear this, because there are many organizations that these days are working really, really hard to get their cultures to where they need to be. But then on the other hand, when they partner up with other vendors, they want to make sure that they treat their people right. They want to make sure that they are exposed to creating those memorable experiences, or to making sure that their team members have that career path that is available to them. So I love the fact that you're sharing all this with us, because it allows us to, spread the word and let people know that even those who are behind the scenes have to think about things like this, because you're still working with humans.
Yeah, and you touched on something there. I'd like to go into more about like having the right vendors, partners, and also clients. Another important thing is making sure that your clients are good clients and that they're treating your people good as well. We really work hard to have a watch your back culture versus got your back culture over watch your back. So we want to make sure that they understand we got their back, and not have a scenario where a client is nasty or mean to your employees and stuff. So you got to make sure that your clients are good, because your employees got to know that you got their back.
Absolutely. And that's what I think a lot of people feel, is that, only for the positions that are guest facing. But like how we said, with all of these other positions that do all the magic behind the scenes, to making sure too that even they're, our internal guests, to making sure that they're taken care of.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Rich, what is your favorite part about being in the expo and convention space?
My favorite part, that part that just gets me the most excited, is opening morning on any event.
Oh, I love that.
It's depending on the scope. We do medical show that will take 5 days to move in. We work with a boat show that takes a week, actually 10, 12 days to move in. when you have these huge, massive events, but even down to the smaller events that take 2 days to move in, the functions are very similar, but also that like the timelines, the build up, and we don't work with weeks and months. We work with days, hours, and minutes with our industry. It's you could be going into a venue
We can
and
relate.
yeah, and you're moving in behind an event who's not quite out, and you're trying to get in, and they're trying to get out in the same venue space, which that brings down your production time. So like all of these challenges, and then as it comes down, and you solve all the problems, and you do all the work, and everything is dialed in, and then you have that opening morning, that opening day, that just it's such a relief, but at the same time, it's that sense of accomplishment. And it's funny because I talk about this, with other people. I said I could never be a construction project manager of working with something that takes 3 years to build, because I think that my ADD has me exactly where I need to be in life. That I can build an event, close it, move on to the next one, build an event, and I get to see the constant up and down, and it's great for me. And
And there's never a dull moment
no,
because every project is different.
yeah, and there's a new challenge every time, and that's funny also about like working with people that are new, and in 6 months it's like, okay, now you've just had your introductory and now you can start learning, and then people hear about 2-3 years, then it's like, okay, now you're ready to start learning the craziness of what happens and how to solve those problems, because there's so much that we do and so many different challenges we face with different venues and different labor and equipment needs and things. So it's never dull.
Never. Rich, how do you connect hospitality into what you do?
Oh, it's part of everything, because what I've learned over the years is that we in the hospitality industry, because we are all in this part of that, it starts at when the person gets off the plane, at the airport. So get off at MIA, their Uber driver, their taxi driver, whatever that may be, is their first touch point of us. So like from there to their hotel, when they check in at the hotel, that experience, to when they arrive at the convention center to set up their booth, if they're an exhibitor, all of that ties together, because one thing can make a crappy day, which then snowballs into the next thing, which snowballs into the next thing. If the Uber driver is not a nice person, and you get to you're already in a bad mood by the time you get to your hotel, that's probably going to happen when your room is not available and ready. Then that's going to snowball into the next thing, and you're going to show up at the convention center ready to work with a chip on your shoulder. Versus that person that has that great experience, they come in, and then when they're on site, that's what we try to express to all of our workers, even down to the line workers, that you are customer service. Mm-hmm. Even though you're building a structure for them, you are a customer service representative, because that person is coming to our town, and they're at everyone's mercy on how successful their event is. So,
and you always have that one person that is setting up and they need a Phillips screwdriver, and they'll go to your team and they're like, oh, I'm in the middle of something.
Yeah. Why can't I just borrow your tools?
Just smile.
Yeah.
So.
Or scissors I feel like would be a huge request as well. Or, oh, can you help me move this? And it would be something that may be a little bit more heavy. And they knew the whole time when they were planning, oh, we'll just find someone at the site.
Yes.
And then liability, but then also too, making sure, I'm sure for you in building that culture, is how do we now respond to those requests to, instead of saying no because of insurance and liability and everything, but, to making sure on that hospitality that the client or the person is taken care of, but then also too that our employees are still abiding by the rules and standards.
Yeah, and a lot of that is you have to teach your staff how to answer questions as well. Like how, because there are going to be scenarios where somebody doesn't like your answer, or it's not a no, it's more of a not right now, or it's a when we will put you in the queue and we'll come help you when we can, or If it's no, we can't, and these are the reasons why, and educating the person is always better than a no.
So, Rich, when we came into the show, I didn't know much about you, and I made a comment offline, and I said, "Who's? Tell me, bring me up to speed. Tell me about Rich." And Stephanie said, "He's the man." And now that I hear you for the past 20 minutes talk the way you talk, and speak about your team, and speak about your operation, and speak about your clients and those that your work is going to touch, I understand why. And I'm
Mhm.
Thank
so
you.
appreciative that you came on, because we sometimes think that customer service or leadership has everything to do with having a customer facing or a guest facing type of role. And that's not always the case. Customer
Mhm.
service, creating memorable experience, having great leadership is applicable to absolutely everything that we do. So this is super fabulous. Thank you for that.
Well, I definitely take that
All
as a big
right.
compliment.
So, the moment of truth. What is your most memorable mouth opening? Yeah, I said that right. This is when the language barrier kicks in. Mouth opening moment that you can remember from being in this industry for all these years.
Hmm. There was one of the most challenging that I had to overcome. Probably that would be one of those moments where we were hired to do an event. It was a tanning bed event, and it was but in a hotel. And through the kind of co-creation with the client, going over all of the steps and processes that need to be done, he says, I want to during this load-in day, I want to be able to open at 4:30 in the afternoon. Will that be possible? And I said, well, that depends on the size of the beds and how we get them in the logistics. So I said, okay, how big are the beds? And he said, all the beds come on a 4x8 pallet. I said, well, that's great because there's two elevators here at this hotel that are both 5x9. So they'll all go up and in. So of the 40 something beds, only about six of them fit on the elevator. So
Oh.
on the side of the building, there was this garage door that opened up from the outside. So we had to take one of those oversized forklifts and take the thing up on a blade and in through this hole and then drop them in one by one. Now, what's interesting is that I did that as a backup just in case one or two were oversized, and it ended up being just a few of them fit and the rest of them had. And at first, all the people who were the manufacturers of these beds were like, "No way! I am not going to let you do that with my bed." And then one of them said, "Well, go ahead with mine." So we started doing it, and I have skilled operators, I have great freight handling guys, and as we were bringing these things in, and all of a sudden people started saying like, "Okay, I'm next, I'm next, I'm next," and I saw that we had the process down, and we managed to get them all in. The show ended up opening on time, but the last of the tanning beds got wired up at that same day, and there was a delay. But it was kind of like pulling off the impossible on a day on one of those events. So it was like the mouth opening moment of this is not going to go as planned, and but again, we just have to roll with the punches and figure out the solutions.
And the beauty of it is that no one knows how things should go. Once those doors open, no one knows what happened behind the doors. No one knows how things should have gone. Yet
Exactly.
everyone has this amazing experience and you're still sweating from it.
Oh yes, yes.
I
And
love
that was 15 years ago, and it's still one of my one of my craziest moments. So.
And I think it also too just talks about the attention to detail, how you were naming off, the size of the equipment, and then also to the size of the elevator, where I'm sure you've seen, down to the inch or the centimeter of, these sizes of what can be able to come in, or the weight of it, for the forklift, and having that information from the clients. And I'm sure you've had clients that are like, oh, it's about this, or the size is about 12 feet maybe, and it's like, no, we
Precision
need yeah,
precision is important.
that.
yes, yes. And then even looking at the alternatives, because being in so many different locations and venues, is grateful that they had that particular garage door. But then at other places, okay, doing that walk around to seeing if we do run into a situation, where could we be able to bring equipment in as an alternative?
Yeah, for sure. If it didn't just happen to be this venue that had that option, it wasn't going to happen. The show, the equipment was, the majority of the show wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd have to say it just happened last year with the convention, and in the middle of it having now the fire alarm that had gone off. And it's something that for safety, but it's things that you don't plan on. But then now seeing how does the team members react to then making sure that the guests are safe and that they're abiding by what they're saying on the speaker. But then also too is now how can you making sure that that's not what everyone's talking about once everyone's coming back into the convention.
Sure.
Yeah. My WTF moment goes back many years. I'm not going to say how many because I'm not going to age myself, but it's an absolute rookie moment. My corporate office tells me that they have this awesome backdrop that is it's the top of the line, the last thing in the market. I had never, ever put this thing together, ever. And there were no instructions in the box.
Oh boy.
And there was no one in the venue that had anything similar that I could go and say, hey, how did you put it together? I was sweating bullets, dressed up in a suit with heels, 2 hours before the show opened. It was awful.
Yeah.
I finally figured it out, by the way.
Oh, good.
No one knew.
Good.
Well, this was great. Thank you so much, Rich, for being on our show, enlightening our viewers and listeners about the convention space and expo space. And it's summer. Summer is here where it's, the height of season, I'm sure, for you.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, we're all over the place, all over the country right now, and spread very thin, but we're enjoying every moment of it. And it's what we reflect on, 2-3 years ago. Nobody's mad that we're super busy.
Totally.
No.
Rich, how two things. How do brands who have not worked with you, how can they find you? And also on the same note, anyone who's interested in working for your company with such an outstanding culture under your leadership, how can they find out what jobs you have available and the details around that?
Well, first, we're all of our social media is at Expo CCI, and my email is richardc@expocci.com, and our website is expocci.com. So, so you can get us through website, or you can get us through socials, and you can get us through, or just reaching out to me, richardc@expocci.com. And I'm happy to talk to anybody who's interested. I get more excited about talking to people who want to be part of the industry than somebody who's asked to be part of it. So
yeah, for sure. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Rich, for sharing your knowledge from all these years of being in the business. We're super excited to run into you in any of our next shows, and we look forward to doing some work with you potentially.
Definitely looking forward to seeing you out on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.